Hi, I'm Rich Warner, gravel and cyclocross racer. Welcome to my channel. Please hit the subscribe button. This week we are at round 10 of the Wessex cyclocross series at Dalton Barracks in Abingdon. Probably the best course of the season, certainly one of the best, and it's nice and warm. It's about 10 degrees and it's been raining a lot. Ideally, I would have liked it to have been raining on the day to make it like an ice rink, but can't have it all. So the conditions are really good. I've run my tyres at 40 psi, which I know a lot of people think is crazy, but when you consider I weigh 80 kilos, I was really concerned about smacking rocks and the hard concrete edges on this course, because you can easily end up pinching your tyre or damaging your carbon rims. So I always set up my bikes, I always lean towards a bit of safety and reliability, so I'd rather give away a bit of grip and just ride just to be safe. And plus as well, with the start I had to the season, I can't afford to have any more bad results, because I've had so many problems this season. It's been really tough, so I really want to make sure I get through the race today and get a good result under my belt. So I'm so excited for this one, and I've managed to somehow managed to be gridded on the front row, which is just fantastic. And the only problem is I've been left with the worst possible spot, which is on the left side, which means I'm right on the inside for the first corner. But all the same, it's good to be on this row, and it's exciting. So I've got lots of support here today. Laura's here, which is brilliant. I've got Barry working in the pits. My mate Charlie's come along. Hello, Charlie. Charlie's a very good cyclist. I do a lot of training with Charlie. He's very fast, and incredibly he's never raced, so it's good to see him here watching what's going on now. I've had a great start. I've reacted quickly, and my old mate Alloway, well, he's got the outside line so he can carry a lot of momentum, and he's flown across the front. It's brilliant. Look at the gap, and then I've got Isaac next to me, and I've got a bit too excited there, and like a complete hacker, I mean, that's embarrassing. I've overshot the corner and wiped out the tapes, so it's funny. And then again here, I've actually smacked the concrete wall on the outside with my pedals. So yeah, getting a bit too excited. I'm currently having a little bit of a word with myself to calm down, because you know, I don't want to be giving away too much energy quite so early in the race. But I've made a great start. See Paul Lloyd there. It's good to see Paul Lloyd finding some form. I know he beat Andy Gardner last week. I'm not sure where the race where it was, but he beat Andy Gardner. So to do that, I assume Paul is really starting to find some form, because I know he had 3 weeks away in America, which probably cost him quite a bit of fitness, but it looks like he's getting back to somewhere near his best, which is great to see. Maybe just at the right time, maybe he can sneak in there and win that British title. I think we'd all love to see that. So good to see Paul going well, and I'm settled in here now behind Pete Boosted and Nicholas Charlton Smith. This is a great start, and there are times when my tyres are so hard, it is a little bit too bumpy, but like I said just now, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Last year I actually ran my tyres too soft, and I had to come in and make an early change, which was quite costly. I kept smacking the rear wheel on some rocks and concrete and things, and I know that I remember last year as well, Isaac Alloway, he actually cracked a carbon rim here, and that's very expensive, so I really didn't want to do that. So yeah, I made a good start, and I'm settled in here with Pete, and I'm well aware that how strong the field is today, and no mistakes now. Just want to settle down and try and stay with Pete, Nicholas Charlton Smith for as long as I can, and if I can do that, that's a fantastic first couple of laps. Just coming past the pits are are very skinny at Wessex, at Dalton, so yeah, you've got there's not an awful lot of space in there for the pit crew, so it's quite a tight area. So we had planned before the race to change bikes every 2 laps, but with the way the racing goes, it's pretty rare that I stick to plan. So because the racing was so tight and I didn't want to lose these boys, I didn't actually do that, because I'm getting a fantastic tow here from these guys, and this is a great start, and I'm going to do my very best to hang on for as long as I can. So as you can see, there's a lot of laying water, lots of puddles, and you have to watch it here. You never quite know what's in them, and I tended to go around them as much as I could. Sometimes it's good, if it's safe to, it's good to go in the water, just try and clean your gears out a little bit. I remember 2 years ago the mud really built up in my rear derailleur and cassette, and I had some problems with my gears later on in the race. So it's a bit deceptive here, because don't get me wrong, you can do it on one bike, and you can do it on one bike very successfully, but you do have to be a bit careful, because the mud can unknowingly sort of gather in your cassette, and you can start having gear problems at Dalton. Hence why I was conscious about coming in at some point. It also does feel good, even though the mud wasn't really hanging onto the bikes that much here in terms of weight. It does feel nice when you can come in and get a fresh bike, little psychological boost. I try to do it, I do it a lot in races, and yeah, I find I gain an advantage out of it, I think. But yeah, see how slippy it is here. We're fighting for the line. I've managed to get up the inside of Pete, and I think you just saw there a flash of Gary Price. I think he's from one of the Midlands leagues. He's a very fast rider, and he's on the back of us, and Pete's got back past me, but that's like pretty much 1 lap down, and I'm still hanging with these boys, so it's good. I'm aware I'm probably working a little bit too hard, but what do? You can't, I've said before, I'm here now, so I'm going to fight to stay in, but I'm aware there's some extremely strong riders still behind me. There's Philip Smith is close by, and then there's Rob Ditcham, and there's also Colin Miller, who's from another league, and also Miles Thomas, John Wheeler, and Louis Tyndall. And I know that Tyndall and Thomas and John Wheeler are having a race-long battle. I know John was absolutely buzzing after this race. He loved it, so that was fantastic. And John's been unwell, had an absolute stinker of a cold, and he wasn't holding out too much hope today to get a result, because he was so poorly. He had to have a little bit of time off work even. So, and I know John finished in a fantastic 12th place, which was a great result. And if you take out the 2 non-Wessex riders, that would have been, I think he would have been 10th. So it was a great ride by John today, and yeah, so I'm keeping these boys behind me at the moment, and I'm hanging on to Nicholas here, and it's all going well. And a big shout out to my Cotswold teammate as well, Darren Wheeler. Today I had to pinch myself a little bit. I was on my way home, stopped for a Costa, cup of tea at Costa, and checked the live results, and there was Darren in third. And well, I didn't tell Darren this before the race, but I really didn't think he was going to do any good today. He's been so ill. I know he had a stomach bug for a week, and he hasn't been well at all, and he hasn't been able to ride. And I thought to myself, if he gets in the top 10, that'll be a great ride. And incredibly, Darren held on for third. It was a superb ride. So well done, Darren. Good to see you up there. So the form is certainly still there, mate. And as you can see there, Nicholas Charlton Smith has dropped it on the concrete. It's so slippy, and unfortunately I accidentally did I clipped Gary Price's front wheel. I put my pedal in his front wheel. It was a complete accident, yeah, it's just one of those racing incidences that can happen. But yeah, we battle on, and Gary's just going to pull away now. He's very strong. I think as well. I think he probably entered on the day, so he's at the back. So he's really come through. Quite incredible, really. The caliber of riders he's just ridden through. So he goes on to get really good third place. But I'm currently sat in fourth place here, which is great. So I took full advantage of Nicholas sliding off on that corner, but I'm holding a good position. But what's interesting as well at Dalton is that the back markers, they actually play quite a pivotal part in the race, because there are periods in this lap where when you come up on back markers, it can be very difficult to get past them. And if you're having a tight battle with anyone, they really can be quite problematic. Now obviously they've every right to be there, I'm not saying that, but it does make it very, very tricky. For example, on these Land Rover ruts, if a back marker's got the central line and you've got someone on you, you can end up dropping into one of the deeper ruts, and it can be very, very difficult. You can very easily make a mistake or even come off. So later in the race, the back markers, they do play quite a part and in the final result. So you've got to really concentrate here, and it's a difficult track. It is like an ice rink at times, and I saw people falling off on the concrete and on the dirt and all sorts of sections. So, but I mean, it's brilliant, don't get me wrong. That's why I like it so much. This particular section here, if you're on this line and you come up on a back marker here, it's very difficult to get off that rut and change. So this pace is just absolutely relentless, and it's a cyclo cross race, so nothing new there. but these guys are so strong around me, and I'm really chuffed to be here. And as you can see now, Philip Smith's pulled through. Philip's having a really good season. He's certainly found some extra strength from last year, and he's going really well. And I'm just going to continue to try and hold on to these boys for as long as I can. And what I'm trying to do, you may be able to hear my cassette when it makes that clicking sound when you freewheel. I'm trying to roll as much as I can in these corners, just to try and have a little breather, just to try and get my heart rate down a little bit, as much as I can, just trying to keep off the brakes and keep momentum. It's not easy when you've got 40 psi in your tyres, because it can get a bit slippy, but I'm just trying to have any little bits of rest I can, because I'm feeling the pace now and there's still a long way to go. So I really do want to go up to South Shields for the British Champs. The British Champs last year down in Kent was absolutely brilliant. I was down there with John, and myself and John, we had such a good ride, and both in the top 15. It was one of the most memorable days of our cyclocross careers. We loved it, so I'd really like to go again, but it's a little bit tricky because we've got Andover on the Sunday before, and then the British Champs is on the Saturday. And I know I spoke about this earlier in the season, just getting in there and racing, and there is a lot of truth in that. But if I'm going to go to the British Champs, I want to be able to go there with fresh legs. And if I go to Andover on the Sunday before, I'm going to have, well, I know for a fact, I'm going to have big problems recovering to be at my best for the following Saturday. In my old age now, last year or two, I've really noticed it. I really struggle with recovery on back-to-back weekends, especially when you lose another night and you have to race on the Saturday. I mean, I've tried everything, even when I absolutely, drink gallons of protein shakes all week and really just do like zone 1 leg spins. I still can't shake off these efforts. I need bare minimum really 8 days. So it's a bit of a tricky one, because I'm going to have to sit down later and have a look at the Wessex table. I want to try and finish as high up in the Wessex table as I can. I finished in 7th overall last year. I was so chuffed with that, and it'd be so cool if I can do that again, or maybe even a little bit better. But because I had all those problems early on in the season, I've got a lot of results that I need to sort of chuck out for my series. And so at the moment I'm 50-50. If I'm going to go to South Shields, I'm going to have to miss Andover, which I really don't want to do, because Andover's brilliant and it's a bit of a tricky one. So I think it's going to have to be one or the other. I might be able to have the whole week off work in between, as it's Christmas, which will be very helpful, because with my job sometimes I can walk 10 miles a day or up and even more, so that's really adds to the fatigue. So you just have to try and sort of have a think about things and weigh things up, because it's such a shame to miss the British Champs, and it'd be my last British Champs as a 40 rider as well. So yeah, lots to ponder. I think next season I'm gonna try and I'm not gonna miss any early season cyclocross races. I missed a couple of rounds this year because of the British Gravel Champs, and it is such a pest that they overlap. Part of me wishes they put the British Gravel Champs in August, just so they sort of don't interfere with cyclocross. So, but I'll see how it goes. I know that Red On Sports have just relinquished the British Championships to BC, and I don't know what they're going to do with the British Gravel Time Trial Championships, because that was the first year this year they had that, and it was absolutely brilliant. I thought that was such a cool idea, and it worked really well. And I got the silver medal. I rode so well that day, and it seems to really suit me. There's Laura jumping up and down on the right there, it's funny, and it seems to suit me so well. So I think what I want to do next season is I'll probably miss the British Championship main race and just do the time trial, and then hopefully it won't interfere with my cyclocross season, because when you miss a few races early season, you sort of end up chasing your tail, especially if you have problems then. So I'd like to be on it from the start, and I really want to do all the national trophy, or most of the national trophies next season, and to do that I need to miss the occasional Wessex. So because for the reasons I've just explained. So we'll have to see how things pan out. As you can see here now, they're just that little group. There's Boosted, Charlton Smith, and Smith. They're just starting to drift away now, and I'm a little bit in no man's land, and I'm aware now that I'm not likely to get back to them. So I'm starting to think now about riders coming up behind, because in this league, as always, the strength in depth is ridiculous, and it's pretty rare that you don't come under pressure. Well, I don't anyway. So you can't back off, and so I'm still fighting and scratching and giving everything I can. But I know across the tapes that Rob Ditcham is there somewhere. I'm not entirely sure what the gap is at this point. I'm guessing it's around 20 seconds or so. I couldn't be certain about that. So he's not a million miles back. So I've really got to make sure, don't make any mistakes, and keep working hard. I can't afford to let my level drop. But clearly, those three are too strong now, and they've pretty much gone. Did do a little bit of practicing before the race with my teammate Nicky Richardson, and Nicky pointed out that the left side was a bit smoother, and I have to agree, it did feel better over here. So I use that a lot on that left side of those ruts. If you can see in my shadow there, I'm out of the saddle and I'm attacking as much as I can. I'm working incredibly hard, and incredibly after the race, my average heart rate was actually 166, if I'm not mistaken, and that is extremely unpleasant. That's a reflection of how hard I was pushing today. You don't see my average at 166 very often. Sometimes I can be sort of down near 155 even, so it's just relentless here today. And now we're coming up on some back markers, and it's okay at the moment because I'm not under any pressure, but when you've got somebody on you, as I was saying earlier, it can be really tricky. So you've got to be looking up and trying to plan your lines as best you can. I really like this bit. This particular right-hander was very slippy. That was a cool little corner, and then I had a good line. It might not be that obvious from the video, but I had a good line. I was very tight on the left there over that mound, and it gave you a better line coming onto this track. And this particular section is where you don't want to be coming up on back markers, and towards the end of this section I was switching across to the right, and I was trying to stay Oh, and there's a back marker there, you see. So he's nicked my line. But I was trying to stay on the right there and going right through those sort of hawthorn bushes. It was much better for that section if you could do that. So there were some very tasty little lines if you could get on them and find them. And I'm working really hard here, and I haven't come into pit, so I thought I came in on that lap, but it must be on the next lap. So I stayed out for quite a while today on one bike. So we're just coming up on 3 laps to go. I'm just going to edit the footage a little bit and cut a little bit out because there's not an awful lot happening right now. So I'll just edit it as 3 laps to go, board, and just going to cut a little bit out because, as I say, I'm on my Todd and it's pretty quiet right now. And that's really cool because I had an opportunity there to give the camera a clean off, so I could actually feel the dry mud on the lens, so I scraped it all off. So I'm really pleased I did that because you got some great viewing again. It was getting a little bit clogged up, but as you saw, I went through there's Darren there cheering me on. Well done, Darren. Just gone through the 3 laps to go, and a little bit of no man's land here at this section in the race, so just continuing to try and stay consistent. I'm out of the saddle whenever I can, but there's that group that was ahead of me, just saw them through the tapes there. But I also have to get out of the saddle on quite a regular basis because unfortunately I can't stay sat down because my lower back is not particularly in great condition, so my back stiffens up and getting a lot of lower back pain, so I actually have to stand up to try and stretch my back out a little bit. Riders have often asked me about that, why I get up, and it's because of my back. So unfortunately I've been like it pretty much all my life. I don't know any difference, so it doesn't really bother me that much. But yeah, but it has sadly got worse in the last year or two. Back onto the straight. This is a brilliant section. I was really putting in some effort down here. I liked it down here, but it was surprising though. It was very windy. The wind would cut across here, and it was nice when you were with another rider because you could sort of tuck in and try and grab a little bit of slipstream. But obviously I'm on my own and I'm coming up on some lapped riders. Sad not to see Enwaza here today. I know he's poorly. Get well soon, mate. Hope you're going to be back for Andover. Shame we're not getting to watch your video. Always enjoy watching the 50s race. I would really like to have stayed and watched it today, but I had to dash off because we were off to the Wadston Christmas lights, they were absolutely brilliant. It was a lovely end to a brilliant day. Really enjoyed that. And as you can see, exactly what I was talking about earlier, now we're getting into some traffic, and this is where it can get a bit sketchy. So it's all part of the fun though.
I'll go out on your left. I'm on your left.
So I'm coming up on some back markers here in probably one of the worst places. It's the sort of Land Rover rut section, and does make it quite tricky because there's not a lot of room here and you've got to try and squeeze past them as best you can, and I don't want to take any of these guys out. I want to be friendly and just try and get through clean, and I managed to do that, so that's all good. But this section here, if you're in a battle, is a nightmare. But I've already made a decision in my head that I'm going to come in now and switch bikes. The guys in front of me are gone. I'm not under any immediate pressure from behind, so it's a good opportunity to come in and change bikes because it'd be silly not to. The mud's probably building up on my bike now. It's probably in my cassette. It actually was a lot in my cassette. Barry did tell me afterwards that my cassette was actually full of dirt. He said it was all clogged up in there, so it was a good decision to come in and you give yourself less chance of problems having a fresh bike. So I'm going to come in and make a change. There's that right side line I was talking about, much better over there. It's a good chance to get it done and have a fresh bike for the final, I think 2 laps it was. I looked up and it's very cool actually, because my mate David Hobbs was there and he took my bike, and Bazza had my other bike, and I made a really slick change. So I'm aware Rob Ditcham is nearby. I've no idea if Rob's coming for a bike or not, and I sort of know that the actual change itself would have cost me a valuable few seconds, but over the course of a race obviously is worth it, and it feels nice. I'm on a lovely clean bike, nice clean gears, nice and lightweight. 2 laps to go now, and we've judged the change perfectly, so I'm just going to try and dig deep now and hang on to what will be a really, really good 7th place. I'll be so pleased if I can hang on to this, and it'll be another good result to add to the series. Sorry, technically I'm actually in 8th at the moment, but if you take out Gary Price, who I'm pretty certain is not registered to the league, that'll be a really good 7th, so be well chuffed with that. But absolute concentration now. I've got Rob Ditcham close by, no room for error. Not an awful lot happens on this lap. I'm on my Todd here, so I'm going to edit and just go to the final lap. So we're on to the final lap of this race, and I'm not exactly sure where it was. It was somewhere around here. Rob Ditcham has closed me down. I kind of knew that he would. I would have been more surprised if he hadn't. I know how strong Rob is towards the end of the race, and I think at the moment he is on my wheel right now. So this is a tricky situation. If a rider catches you late, it doesn't really matter who it is, but if a rider catches you late in a cross race and you get done, it always leaves you with a bit of a negative feeling when you've been in a certain position for so long and then someone's done you right at the end. So I really don't want to lose my position. I want to try and protect it as best I can, and I know how strong Rob is, very powerful. So I actually did a little bit of a tactical manoeuvre. I actually backed off a tiny bit because he was coming anyway, and what it did was it just gave me a breather, because I was hurting so badly. I'd put so much effort in to try and stay with savages like Boosted, Charlton Smith and Philip Smith, that I was really feeling it, and so I just tried to just back off a tiny bit, have a little breather, and just use some tactical, use my experience. And by doing that, I knew that on the sections where Rob could overtake me, it enabled me to really attack them, because he's not going to get past here, for example, and I knew that. Then down past the pits, where I just slowed up a little bit, I could then attack the straight past the pits and maintain that gap, because it's going to be very difficult for anyone to get around me in these slippy turns here. So, and that's what I did, and I'm aware the pit straight's approaching, and that's where Rob, I would assume he would be tempted to go for the overtake, and the last thing I want to do is let him get in front of me, because vice versa, it'd be very difficult for me to get back past him, and I'm very tired. But if I remember rightly now, I'm putting in a massive effort out of that turn. Probably caught Rob a little bit by surprise, I don't know, but I'm putting in a huge effort here because I do not want him going past me, because I know I've raced with Rob for a long time now, a few years. I know how strong he is, and this is the sort of place when he could power past me, and I really don't want that to happen. And success. I've got down that wide open straight, which is perfect for overtaking, and I've held Rob off, and I know now it's going to be tough for him because there's a lot of Land Rover ruts along here and it's not easy to overtake, and obviously I'm still vulnerable here, but I don't know, maybe Rob lost a tiny bit of ground on that straight and he couldn't get past me along there. I'm not entirely sure, but this is tight now and no mistakes, and there's also back markers into the mix, so this is tricky. But I know once I get past this little section it'll be very difficult for Rob, because there's some slippy turns and there's a lot of Land Rover ruts. So I'm back on the gas here, and if I remember rightly, Rob was actually right on me. He was literally on my wheel here, so I was under a lot of pressure, but I'm well used to riders crawling all over my back in a race in tight situations. I had some intense battles racing motorbikes previous to my cross racing career, and so I know how to defend my line and protect my position, and he's not going to get past me here. And so at the moment it's looking good for 8th place, which is just fantastic, but there's no way I'm going to take my eye off the ball. I'm going to use that inside line again there, which is really good. Get onto this section, can't afford any slip-ups. If you're watching this, you probably can't tell, but I can actually tell my speed difference there. I am working my backside off there. I went along that straight really quickly, and I'm just desperately hanging on to this position. Thank God this is the last lap, because I am emptying the tank here. And again, I know Rob is so capable, so powerful, and this is another place where he can get past me, and I am absolutely destroying myself up here to hang on. And once I get to here, I know it's going to be super difficult for him, and I deliberately go into this turn really quickly, and I do hear a bit of a crash behind me. I know Rob goes down, so I hope you're all right, Rob. Didn't hurt yourself or anything. It's quite a nasty place to come off there on that concrete, but I've held on for 8th. I'm so chuffed. And 7th if you take out Gary Price, as I said earlier, and I'm absolutely exhausted. I was so tired, even my glutes were hurting after this race, and I'd given everything for that. And it's nice because I've been so looking forward to this race, and it's been a lot riding on it in the series and in the build up. So many people have got stinking colds and had stomach bugs, and I've managed to avoid all these nasty bugs and viruses, and I've got here and I've had a really good ride, and I'm absolutely exhausted, so I'm not going to be on my bike tomorrow. Just going to have a good rest day, and yeah, and great to see John coming home in 12th place, which was great, as I said earlier, and I'm well chuffed with this, and yet again, brilliant race at Dalton. Thanks a lot to the organisers. I thought everything was brilliant, done a great job, and have a great Christmas, everyone. And I'm really looking forward to Andover if I decide to do it. I'm still 50-50, but have a great Christmas, and we'll get back to racing in the new year. Thanks a lot for watching.